Hello people of the internet, this is Andres Perez, aka KaijuNoir, here with, surprisingly, the return of an old show that I did with Pete a while back, long before I was ever even associated with the Sons of Sarazawas. But here it is, this is the grand return of Kaiju's Corner, and here with me is my guest, Deadpoolzilla.
Hello, hello, hello.
Now, how have you been, man? It's been a while since we had our first collaboration.
Yeah, assuming it's posted by this time.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
For those wondering, we did a collab review on Godzilla: The Half-Century War, aka one of the goddamn greatest things ever to come out of the Godzilla fandom.
Oh, most definitely. And it's been a while since I've been. It's been a while since I've been posting that. Since it's taken me a while to post that review, only because I've been waiting for art, and just waiting for the right time, because there were other stuff I put it on the back burner for a while because I wanted to focus more on the end of year, like 2014 best and worst sort of stuff. But anyway, here's a little treat for you guys, hopefully for you to enjoy, as I decided to bring back this show because Deadpoolzilla here, he was interested in talking about a particular animated series on Cartoon Network that we both felt like has not been as good as it once was in recent years. Mind telling the audience what that is?
Adventure Time!
Yeah, now, Adventure Time, didn't it came out in 2010?
Yeah, 2010.
Wow, it's hard to believe it's already been it's close to 5 years since that show first premiered.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's now a pretty old show in terms of animation standpoint. You may say, 5 years can't be that long. And considering some shows run, yeah, it can be that old.
Yeah. I mean, you look at some shows like Thundercats or Symbiotic Titan that only lasted one season, whereas Adventure Time has had this extreme enormous success. And I would say Adventure Time even brought back Cartoon Network back from the grave, not back from the grave, but I feel like there was this period. Well, I guess for those who don't know, I don't know if I've ever said this on Shoe Watch, but I've always been a diehard, not a diehard, but I've always been a loyal fan of Cartoon Network. It was something that I've always watched throughout my whole life, back in the old days with Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Laboratory, and reruns upon reruns of Looney Tunes. It's just something I've basically grew up with all my life, and even to this day, I still keep up with it. I'm not sure about you, Deadpoolzilla.
I don't know. I've recently dropped off because I just couldn't take Adventure Time anymore. I would like to say I'm loyal, but there was a point in my time where I was like, oh my god, I can't find anything except... There was a point where the only show I would watch was Teen Titans, the animated series, which admittedly was pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And Symbiotic Titan and Megas XLR, but obviously I grew up with the same shows as you. I grew up with the golden age of Cartoon Network at the beginning, 90s, and, still favorite Cartoon Network show is Ed, Edd n Eddy, so...
And of course, who can forget Toonami? But then again, that's a whole other topic for another conversation.
Yeah.
Now, with Adventure Time, I feel like it was, when it first premiered, it was that show that really brought back Cartoon Network back to where it once was, because before Cartoon Network, it was kind of the dark ages where, I don't know, I think there was a change in the people running the program, where...
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, where they had mostly live action people, I think it was called Dude, What Would Happen, or Level Up, or what was that other show?
The one with Andrew WK, I know the one you're talking about.
Wait, Out of Jimmy's Head, was that the one you're thinking of? Yeah, with that one, and
then there's another one
I think it was Incredible Crew. I think that was another one, or maybe that was Nickelodeon.
They were all bad, let's face it.
Yeah, it's easy to see, these were just shows that were made because they were cheap to produce, because, again, no animation.
Yeah.
And
but
then,
yeah. But now I feel like they now know what they're doing.
Yeah, very much so. And with, they're doing so much better than, say, Nickelodeon.
Okay, the only thing I'm watching there is Ninja Turtles, which admittedly is the best thing they have on there.
It's the only good thing they have on there.
Well, with Korra's now over, that's all I got left.
Yeah, well, you got Power Rangers, but then again, Power Rangers is very debatable.
Ugh. I watched that ending to Super Mega Force. Severely disappointed.
I saw all of Power Rangers Samurai and Super Samurai, and while it was decent for the most part, it certainly didn't blow my mind. And then I saw the first episode of Megaforce, and I was like, okay, I see what they're trying to do here, and I'm not having any part of that.
Yeah. Well, you watch the ending of Super Megaforce, it will piss you off.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. I remember, on DFOS with Bill talking about like the people, like the cameo rangers. They don't even talk. They don't say anything. It's just like oh, they're here to be part of this fight that's nowhere near as epic as the Japanese version from Go Kaiju.
Exactly. I'm gonna give Dino Charge a chance, though. That's the new one, Dino Charge.
Well, either way, with going back to Adventure Time, where it was this show that everyone quickly latched onto. It's this like really weird, very absurd show. But then when you begin to peel the layers and you begin to pay attention to the little details here and there, it's a very rather like in when it first came out in its initial seasons, it was a rather serious show. Like it was a very complex show where there was a lot of layers behind the initial premise of a boy and his dog go out on adventures. And it turns out there's a lot more to this universe than people would think, and despite it looking like complete random nonsense, it's a show that makes a lot of sense within its own world. Now, Uncle Grandpa, on the other hand, that's a show that makes complete no sense whatsoever.
Yeah. Although, admittedly, I watched one episode and it made me laugh. That means that I don't plan on going back to it.
Yeah. But let's see. Now we've entered this period of Adventure Time where it seems like it's gone on for so long. I feel like it's gotten to that point where it's already starting to lose its luster. It's already starting to feel a bit stale, where it kind of seems like the writer or like the people in charge of that series kind of seem to be running out of ideas at this point.
Well, Pendleton Ward left silently during the 5th season. Like, he didn't even tell anyone that he was leaving. He didn't announce that he was leaving. It wasn't known until halfway through season 6 that we knew that he was gone.
Yeah. And even though he was still a showrunner, but I guess he doesn't have as much of an influence on the show as it once was. And probably that you can see that because I think with Adventure Time, I think it started out as a series where, again, it was just a boy and his dog and his dog going out on adventures, meeting new people along the way, and learning a bit more and more about the world as the show progressed. And then it feels like with showing how complex the world is, I think fans were kind of expecting more complex stories, maybe some forms of like character arcs, or maybe like some sort of big things happening. And it seemed like the show was back then was trying to like really hard to do these sort of like bigger and more dramatic stories, especially with the Lich King. But then I don't know, I kind of feel like at this point they're running out of ideas at this point, where they don't want to do anything that will upset the status quo of this show.
At the same time, they don't want to do anything to piss off the fans.
Yeah. So I think I've noticed this big trend with the last like 2 seasons where, in order to avoid any sort of change in the status quo, a lot of these episodes focus on characters within this universe, whether it's like what's his name, the root beer guy who's trying to solve a mystery, or the worm character's little brother who goes off on his own adventure, or what's his name, that one character who died and then came back as a zombie. James, yeah. It's like all these episodes are focusing on these random characters, and while I'd say they were decent stories, they don't add anything to the overall story arc. I mean,
the other thing, like, remember Root Beer Guy? He gets killed. They just mentioned he gets killed in an episode. And
then they bring him back by the end of that very episode.
They do? Huh.
Yeah. They were talking about like the one where like that witch from a previous episode had awakened like a giant sleeping giant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He gets brought back in that episode.
Huh.
Yeah, because as soon as the monster died, everything went back to the way it was. Because of magic.
Because Deus Ex Machina, or better yet, contrivance.
Oh, that's another thing with that witch, where it's like a lot of the times the show would how would you say, they would build up to something, and the resulting payoff would be extremely lackluster.
Or just piss you off.
Yeah, like a one big example, to mention that witch, where in a previous episode, Marceline gave up that shirt that she had that was introduced in a previous episode that she got from her friend Marceline the vampire, and then she gave it to the witch, and the witch says, I have big plans for this using this shirt. And so you have that episode where she unleashes that giant, but then it has no real impact on the show whatsoever.
And then she becomes a vegetable.
Yeah, and the thing is, once they introduce something, they never talk about it ever again. And,
the only thing they touch on is Ice King's origins. That's it.
Yeah, and that led to, I really enjoyed Ice King's origin story. He's probably one of the most sympathetic villains I've seen in years.
Well, now he's kind of he's not really a villain anymore. He's just annoying.
Right. He's more he's just a very, well, he's still sympathetic, where it's he's insane and annoying, but there's a reason behind the insanity. It's just
and
incredibly sad.
He's kind of like the relative who has Alzheimer's.
Yeah, where it's they know where he's coming from, and they just it's kind of that relative is okay, Grandpa, sure, whatever, you do your thing. But another thing, remember the thing that happened with Jake's children?
Yeah.
Where it's for a couple episodes, Lady Rainicorn was pregnant with hers and Jake's children, and then once they were born, they had one episode where he tries to raise them, and then they're all adults now, and then Jake goes back to living with Finn, and status quo resumes or restored.
Yeah, I mean, they show up a few times, but they're never
they're never integral to the overall. They're never all that important to Jake as a character, or any story as a whole.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing,
Finn's arm.
Yeah, Finn's arm. Oh, God, can we talk about that, please?
Yeah, sure. I think I've been talking enough. You can take the lead on this one.
Finn's arm. The whole start of his dad tearing off his arm and taking it, and then it becomes a story arc of Finn going almost borderline, and he's
depressed.
Yeah, and insane. Tries to build a wall, a staircase to heaven. Huh? See what I did there?
Mm-hmm.
And then Princess Bubblegum does, weird Deus Ex Machina thing, and then later on, God, can we talk about,
Breezy?
Yeah, you go ahead. I have no words.
It's probably one of my least favorite episodes of the whole series, only because of how it treats Finn as a character, and as well as destroying all that build-up for Finn's missing arm. Because I thought that was a really bold move with what they did with, Finn. He lost his arm. He is an amputee. You have a TV show where you have a children's TV show.
Not only that, every future incarnation of Finn, his arm is missing.
Right. Where you would have that version of Finn with a robotic arm. You had a previous incarnation of Finn, that green-skinned, black-haired woman who lost her arm. You had Finn living in that pillow world, or dreaming he was in a pillow world. Again, he loses his arm.
And voiced by Commander Riker.
But you have all these different versions of Finn with missing an arm. It seems to be building up to something where it's what's going to happen to this version, to mainstream version of Finn, and what's the phrase? Lo and behold, he loses his arm, and it becomes it kind of changes up the status quo. And what happens? He ends up, in a way, taking advantage of this female bee woman who gives up her entire life to prove her love to him, and he rejects her, and then, in a way, uses her to get his arm back, and then, for the rest of the series, we never acknowledge her existence.
Yeah, and someone could say, well, they haven't acknowledged her yet. Obviously, maybe they'll acknowledge her later on down the road, but you think they would have done that by now?
Yeah.
Can I talk about the one thing that pissed me off to no end?
Sure thing.
And this is the thing that made me go, well, I think they've lost their minds.
Mm-hmm.
The Finn and Flame Princess breakup.
Yeah, I always thought that those two really worked as a couple.
That was the whole point, that she was meant to be his, pairing.
I don't know, I kind of thought that well, on the other hand, again, it just goes back to that status quo. But what I really liked is they spent a couple of episodes on her. She didn't go away like other supporting characters. And then again, they kind of ruined this other thing that they were kind of building up to. But I'll let you continue with the breakup before I move on to what happened with Princess Bubblegum.
Yeah, that I want to touch on as well. That's the point where I also went, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is with that is that, obviously Flame Princess was meant to be Finn's love interest and obviously give him, a female supporting character. And again, they played off each other very well. And then it plays what you said as Finn being a horrible person of manipulating her into fighting Ice King to have all these weird dreams. I was like, dude, that's it, really? You just have your girlfriend fight your enemy / friend,
so that you can essentially have what is you can essentially have a wet dream every night,
or a acid trip. Pick your poison, there, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. And then Cinnamon Bun gets her. What? I don't know if you know him, my friend Milan Jeftik. He loves the show, but he obviously lives in Australia.
Right,
so
right.
They get the episodes later, apparently.
Uh-huh.
So I told him, hey, Finn and Flame Princess are together. She's got someone new, and he's like, really, who? Cinnamon Bun. I heard him scream and then punch a hole through a wall.
And then you can hear his dad in the background telling him to be quiet.
No, his dad's crazy.
I know, that's why I brought him up, because it's like Mulan's dad always makes a cameo appearance in every Geeky Gentleman.
Oh, you do know him?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, obviously.
I know him. He certainly doesn't know me.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot. Like, that totally persuasive. It's like, obviously, he would watch you Geeky Gentleman. Stupid me.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Were you done with with that topic, or you still have something to say?
Nah, you go ahead.
All right. Oh, there was this thing. There was an interesting thing they were kind of building up to, which like they were in later seasons. Well, maybe like halfway through the show, they're kind of showing a bit of Princess Bubblegum's darker side, where because of her obsession with science, they really tried to play up the fact that maybe she's like a bit. Isn't really all that sound when it comes to like her morality, where it's like she's willing to tamper in areas where most people would back away from, and they really kind of displayed that with that episode with her and Flame Princess, where she's like she takes advantage of people. And I thought that was interesting. Like even like before, I think it was season 5 or 6, the writers said that they would go into that darker aspect of her, and having like a Princess Bubblegum, this like character who's been around from the beginning, and having her slowly turn into like somewhat of an amoral character would be kind of interesting.
She kind of became the Nick Fury of the Adventure Time universe.
I guess you can say that. Yeah. But then in that episode, she's like, you know what? You're right. I should really change myself. It's good talking to you, Flame Princess. I'm gonna be more sympathetic and care about what other people think from now on. I was like, you just ruined an interesting character arc right there.
Yeah. Also, you nearly drove an entire race to an extinction point. I doubt I'm Sorry's gonna help.
And I forgot, was it you or maybe someone else who had a problem with Princess Bubblegum, her becoming like a very despicable kind of person, especially when it comes to like the ideas of like magic or religion, where it's
that was me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can go ahead with that.
I don't know, like, the whole thing is that she lives in a world of magic, and obviously she must have used magic to build some of her, kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
So why is it so hard for her to just obviously deny everything and stomp on... I mean, hell, the person she's, let's not beat around the bush, her and Marceline are a thing, is magic. She's a fucking vampire. How do you deny this?
From the underworld, or like the after, what was it, like some equivalent of an afterlife or something? Hell?
I don't know, the 93rd Dead... I don't know, I don't even remember what they fucking call it.
And of course, let's not forget another infamous episode hated among fans. What was it called? Betty? Where again, interesting concept in bringing Simon back to life, and then they introduce Betty and bring her into the picture, and what do? He turns back into the Ice King, and we outside of one little appearance in another episode, Betty is never mentioned again.
Yeah. I mean, it was a cool idea of having her, like, that's what really happened to her? Awesome. But do something with that.
He's like, oh, okay, in the meantime, I'll be out finding a cure for Simon. And of course, until, like, the writers pull something out of their ass, it doesn't look like nothing's going to happen there.
Yeah. And I really hate to shit on this show. I really do, because I do love it. But it's just gone in a direction that is... You think they should have ended soon, like, season 5?
Maybe, like, just have, like, one big epic finale with, like, the Lich King, and maybe have a movie or something. Have, like, end it off with, like, a movie, like, kind of like what they did with, like, the SpongeBob movie, or Hey Arnold the movie, or Rugrats. Just have, like, one big, like,
Well, the SpongeBob movie doesn't count.
Well, it was initially supposed to be the show finale, the series finale, but I feel like they could have ended it right there. Where it's like when they have no other stories to tell, no stories left to tell. Just have ended big. But obviously, for Cartoon Network, this is their most successful show. With all like the video games, the merchandise, the the number of Finn hats they're selling, it's like it's kind of become their SpongeBob, where they want to hold on to it and make as much money off of it as much as they can, even when the writers have no idea what direction to take the show now.
I really don't want this show to go to the route of The Simpsons or Supernatural.
Or SpongeBob.
Yeah. Or Family Guy.
Oh god, yeah.
There is a list, oh my god, I didn't even realize it till
now. Boy, what was it called? I think there was a term for that. Oh, seasonal rot. I think that's the phrase. I believe that can be applied to this show, and as well as all the other shows we listed. But in recent episodes, they kind of introduced the origin of the Ice King's magical crown. I'm not sure if you saw that. It premiered, I believe, last week or the week before.
No, I didn't.
Okay, it was kind of very interesting. They're adding to the lore. And in the episode that aired yesterday, for those who are wondering, it is the 23rd of January as of this recording. They kind of brought back this. The last two episodes are building up to something where there's this big, like, Earth-threatening, the world-threatening meteor that's heading to Earth, and it's something that heads to Earth every 1,000 years. And apparently, whatever the storyline is going to resolve with, it's going to bring back Finn's dad. So yeah, they show the origin of the crown, its connection to this weird phenomenon that happens every 1,000 years. Finn's dad is back, and the meteor in the last episode almost destroyed Mars. But then that character with the multiple faces.
I can't remember his name.
I think, for some reason, I don't think they ever called his name, referred to this character by name, but apparently he's Glob, which is weird because how characters often refer to Glob in their vocabulary as if it's like their replacement for God.
Yeah.
But yeah, that character died trying to protect Mars from being hit by that meteor, instead heading to Earth. So it seems like they are building up to something, but knowing this show's track record recently, I have a feeling that this is going to end rather disappointingly.
Yeah. It may actually explain the creation of magic and the Lich King, because remember that alternate timeline where the crown was on Finn's head and that created the magic pool or whatever?
Yeah. But
I don't know.
apparently magic has always existed, because in the episode that featured the creation of the crown, there were 4 elemental beings that kind of like watched over the earth during the days of the dinosaurs. You had this character who looks like the Ice King, whose elemental was ice. One dude whose elemental was fire, and I believe he was voiced by Keith David. One guy whose elemental is slime. Another character whose element is candy. And so like the 4 of them, they pretty much like perished by the end of the episode, and somehow like that crown that the ice person made kind of left he kind of like imprinted his own, I guess, consciousness, or like that it was like connected to him in some way, which is why I guess whoever puts on the crown kind of looks like him with the white beard and the long pointy nose and the pale blue skin. Oh yeah, and he had an assistant named Gunther, who was a little dinosaur that he mutated to become intelligent.
This actually sounds really cool. I might have to go look back and look at this episode.
Yeah. Well, again, and kind of as interesting as it is, I think what makes this one-off episode so much better was because, again, they're adding to the lore. Even if it is another episode where they're focusing on characters that we'll never see again, at least it's adding to the show, as opposed to just, taking the show in absolutely no direction.
Yeah, and who's to say? I think this might be the season. This whole meteor thing might be the season finale, and maybe it'll build into something world-changing. But that's the thing. Like every season finale, we get it. It just goes right back to status quo. Like the whole alternate reality where the Lich never existed.
Mm-hmm.
That happened.
I mean, even when they killed off Prismo in another episode, they bring him back.
Yeah.
But, yeah, well, is there anything else to talk about when it comes to the seasonal rot of Adventure Time?
Go watch Steven Universe.
Oh, yeah. I feel like that has potential to become, like, I'm pretty sure Adventure Time is still popular amongst its, like, Cartoon Network's core audience. But I think Steven Universe has a lot of potential in toppling over Adventure Time.
Yeah, it's spreading like wildfire. Steven Universe is like, the past few episodes have just been great. Like, have you been keeping up with it?
Oh yeah. That's like one of the few shows I've kept up with all this time.
Yeah. The last episode was just gut-wrenching because I love that moment where all the gems are like, God, we are terrible foster parents.
Yeah. With that show, it's like they really know how to handle the character progression of its protagonist from episode to episode, as well as its supporting cast. But then again, Steven Universe is very early on in its run. But even still, I think like they're doing a much better job than what Adventure Time initially did. But then again, Adventure Time was more about like world expanding, or like just showcasing this brand new world. Whereas with Steven Universe, it's a world more familiar with us. Therefore, they can just focus more on the characters themselves.
Yeah, and plus, one of the major writers, Rebecca Sugar, is in charge of this show. She created it, so.
Mm-hmm.
And from Adventure Time, after she got the boot, after the whole insinuation between Bubblegum and Marceline in that one episode.
You know what? From what I understand, I think like it was the Adventure Time fan base that was kind of like promoting that relationship, and in a way, it's kind of like I guess force the creators to say, "Yep, it's an official thing."
Yeah. Well, Legend of Korra beat you guys to it to making it official.
Well, I guess with all that said, I believe that we have come to the end of this revamped edition of Kaiju's Corner. Thank you very much, Deadpoolzilla, for joining me in this session.
Oh, no problem.
And, well, with you, the audience, I'm very interested to know what you think of this new possible series for the channel. I mean, let me know if if you guys are interested in hearing more of Deadpoolzilla and I just chatting about whatever we feel like, and something that the two of us can relate to. Just from time to time, just get together and have a quick little session about whatever it is that we want to talk about, or whatever you guys want to talk about. So with that said, I'm Andres Perez, aka KaijuNoir.
And I am Deadpoolzilla.
And until next time, everybody, take care.